Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on marketing your business online. Your presenters are Chris Lorence of Christopher A. Lawrence PR and Marketing Services and Kayla Fujinaka of Maplewild Marketing and Consulting. I'm your moderator, Renee Goodnow from the New York SBDC. Joining me today behind the scenes to help me moderate is Zach Steffen from the Mohawk Valley SBDC. I would like to take a moment to thank today's co-sponsors, the Women's Business Center of New York State and their project director, Donna Rebes, and the New Hartford Chamber of Commerce and their director, Mark Turnbull. I'm going to turn things over to Chris and Kayla.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Lawrence. It's a pleasure to be with you virtually, I guess we would say. Well, Kayla and I have been working together for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. Kayla was with me as a freelancer for a number of years, and Kayla's gotten so big and important that she has her own business now out in Colorado Springs, and I call Kayla the social media guru. Kayla knows more about social media than any person I've ever met in my life, and plus she knows she's growing in leaps and bounds and does all forms of marketing as I do. So what we're going to do today is kind of walk you through. We're all kind of tired of hearing about the coronavirus. We're all kind of tired of hearing the word COVID-19, but it's the reality we face in. So there's a few things that are happening today that we all know. And if you want to go to the next slide, Kayla.
Okay, just checking. You can see that, right?
What's that?
You can see the next slide going, you guys?
Yes.
Okay, great. Take it away,
so,
Chris.
You know, what's happening today is really trying to make it so that we're for some of you, you're already in this online world. For others, it's kind of forcing you to maybe go where you should have been all along, and I don't mean that in a mean way. It's causing a shift for a lot of small businesses to think about, well, this is kind of what I should have been doing or maybe have thought about doing all along. And the reality is the third point of the slide was the need always there? And the answer is yes. And so what we're going to talk about is we're going to go over some basics that maybe some of you would have in place already, but we're going to cover them for those of you who don't have them in place also. Next, please. Kayla? Are you there, Kayla?
I don't know if there's a delay on between here.
All right. So the real basics is marketing is marketing. Here's the simple fact is a customer has a need or a problem. And it's very simple. You as a business are trying to find or present a solution to that need or problem. And the situation today does not change that. What's changed is the habits are disrupted. So many of you who have storefronts or foot traffic or where people were coming in and out, that's what's disrupted. The need's still there. They still may need garden supplies. They still may need food. They still may need exercise. They still may need different things, but it's just that they can't necessarily come to you. So now the idea is, how do you meet those needs? So marketing is marketing. It's just how you're going to approach it is differently. Now, of course, you all understand that the internet usage is through the roof, but I also want you to keep in mind, although we're talking about online usage, the TV viewing is up dramatically. I actually have a couple clients that have bumped their TV buying time because they know that their viewing is up. They're just shifting what their message is right now to direct them to online sales. And Kayla, if you've got anything to add, feel free to jump in. Okay, so the facts. Many of you are in crisis mode. Many of you have had to lay off employees. Many of you are just trying to keep the doors open. Many of you, unfortunately, need to face some hard facts. And one of those facts has always been staring you in the face. And if you haven't been in that world, this is a good time to recognize 97% of people learn about a local company online. That's where they do it. The days of, yellow pages and some of the traditional media just keep weaning and weaning and weaning. And they tend to, where do you find things? You Google it. Someone wants to know about something, they look it up online. So you have to ask yourself, where are you in that world right now? Now, I know I'm covering some of the obvious stuff right now, but if you think about it, this has been going on for years. Black Friday sales, Cyber Monday, Amazon, major retailers have been closing their doors. And what is word of mouth today? Word of mouth today are reviews. Reviews on Facebook, reviews on Google, reviews in general. Next, please. So small businesses need to be creative to survive. But you can be. You have an advantage over some of the bigger places like Amazon and some of the bigger places like Walmart and stuff, because you can adapt and address these things quicker because you're smaller. You have less red tape. You have less of everything. You can adapt and move and take some of these tools we're going to show you today and actually use them in real time and play with them and get some results very quickly. The other thing is you can build relationships that you already have or build upon with some of the businesses and your community and your clients. So I watch Shark Tank a lot, and they've been on ABC a lot, excuse me, as experts. And they use these 3 words that they work with their small entrepreneurs a lot. And it's called communicate, collaborate, and create. And if you keep that in the back of your mind, it's a good plan to go forward. Next. So small businesses actually have an opportunity. It's not all about Amazon. In fact, Amazon's running into a lot of problems right now. The staffs are concerned. The staff are worried about safety. There's threatening strikes. There's backlogs on orders. You have no red tape to go through. You can respond quicker. You have complete customization. But here's something that the shark said on TV the other day that I know will be painful for you to hear, but I really want you to think about. And I've said this to my clients for years. But in today's day, with all that's going on, think about this very hard and very, very, very long. Are discounted sales better than no sales? And what I'm saying there is this. You've got a store and maybe it's closed, or you've got an online situation going on and the sales are very slow because this is terrible, terrible times. The shark the other day said to his entrepreneurs, is offering 50, 60, 40, 50, 60% off and having those kind of sales right now better than no sales? Is inventory sitting on the shelf doing you better than having reduced sales and having some cash coming in? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And of course, the margins are what determine that. So it hit me that, okay, if you're a retailer and you've got electronic stereo or car stereos or anything like that, and you've got to offer significant discounts to get people to move on things, would you be better off offering that almost like a Black Friday or a Cyber Monday mentality to keep sales moving? Or would you rather have stagnant sales or no sales? I can't answer that question for you, but I know how it triggered a thought process in my mind. Then these creative solutions, and we're going to talk about a lot of them later on, they don't have to be permanent. People understand that whatever's happening now isn't going to be the norm later on. And then Kayla mentioned something the other day. What about payment plans? Would you rather have some cash coming in on a big ticket item? Would you rather set up something with customers you know where they can pay over the next 2 months as opposed to all the cash coming in? That's the kind of creativity that maybe a big retailer can't offer right now. But we're going to get into this in a lot more detail.
Just a quick thought with that too, Chris. The clients that I have who are doing the payment plans are people who are photographers or folks who are just trying to hang on to those leads that might be further down the road for them. So if they can't shoot a 250 person wedding currently, they can still take a payment plan for that deposit. A lot of people have been struggling with those types of things. So those payment plans can actually, if you do them creatively for your business, they can actually really help you out right now. And in terms of holding on to leads that you have now that you can use later down the road too.
Right. And we're going to show a bunch of other creative examples later on. But there was one floating around on the local Facebook and Instagram pages for photographers that you just spurred the example of. It was called front door photography.
Front porch.
Front porch, where the photographers can't do that. So they're having you come out to your front porch and they're taking pictures of you and your family from the curb. And they're charging a nominal fee for it, but they're generating revenue. And they're getting family portraits, the dog, the family, the whole works. How creative. So that's the kind of thing we're thinking. And when you hear the term outside the box, we're literally talking outside the box, but this is the point of the whole idea. Small businesses can do this. Large businesses can't do this. Next, please. The basics, okay? We know we're in crisis mode, but the basics that we would talk about right now that Kayla's going to go into in fairly detail, if you were coming to one of our in-person seminars, we would be covering this, that every small business needs to have these basics in place regardless of COVID-19 or anything else like that. So we're going to talk about Google, making sure that you're set up there, making sure you have a website, making sure you have social media platform, some other miscellaneous resources. Then at the end, we're going to get into real life examples and then a nice Q&A period. So that's kind of what we're going to go through today. All right. And without further ado, we're going to let the real brains of the outfit, Kayla, kind of walk you through some of the details of these things.
All right, guys, so we're first going to cover Google here. And Google is my jam. I love Google. Google My Business, I think, is often overlooked when people talk about marketing their business online and how do they get more visible. There are a couple of key statistics here. You guys are going to get this slide deck, so you can read through those on your own. But I do want to touch on the fact that 97% of consumers check a company's online presence before deciding to buy with them or do anything with them. And that's how they actually, you earn trust with people these days, is by having that online presence and then also pairing that with the reviews that you have online. So if you don't have a Google business listing, I would highly encourage you to go to the link there. I think they'll probably put it in the chat as well, www.google.com/business, and create yours today. You'll either have to add your location, or you will, when you type in the search bar there, your location will appear if there's already a listing present for your business. A couple things to note with a Google business listing. Again, like I said, you'll have to add a location if Google can't find your business, so you'll need an actual physical mailing address. Google does not allow PO boxes, and you can't send it. It's not like Instagram where you can just check, your home location and it's like a background thing. You have to have a physical location, especially if you're a store, a storefront, especially. If you're an online business, you can put in your home address and then just check a box that does state that you don't want it shown, and then choose the location where you do business out of. I know it's kind of confusing, but once you get in there, you'll know what I mean. It's just very important to note, no PO boxes allowed, physical mailing addresses only, because they send you a postcard in the mail that has a code on the back, and if they can't send it to an address, you can't get the code to verify your listing. Okay, so let's keep going here. So how do you optimize your Google business listing? You're gonna get into the info tab. You need to get really specific on your category, special hour. So if you're closed on Easter, or even if you're closed right now, you can list those. You can list them out as far as you want, and Google just will load them in your listing automatically. You can put in services, description, links. So if you have appointment links or links to your website. A couple really key things to note on your Google business listing is that you need to make sure to respond to reviews promptly. And if you don't do it promptly, and by promptly, I mean, within a week, it's realistic. At least respond to them, period. Because a lot of folks think, oh, I get reviews, that's cool, awesome, but then they never respond. And that's a big way that people actually, you earn that trust with folks, is by showing that you are an active business owner and that you care about your customers and clients by taking the time to respond to the reviews. Again, adding photos on a regular basis. There's a lot of ways on Google Business where you can add interior, exterior, images of your team, images of your products, and things like that in the listing. And photos are one of the #1 ways that you get seen on Google. Businesses that list photos on a regular basis, I'm talking quarterly, you upload 5 to 10 images, you're gonna be 3 to 4 times more likely to be seen over an account that doesn't do that. So that's huge. And then also taking advantage of Google Posts. A lot of people don't know that Google Posts exist, to share what's new, an event or a product, and then regularly updating your information here, because Google has an algorithm just like Facebook. And all of those things help you rank higher in the local search, which is that fun little box that you see there on the right-hand side. And that is how, when people are Googling businesses like yours, that you can appear. If you have those reviews, if you have those photos, and you fill out that information to the best of your ability on a regular basis. All right, and then Chris, I think you were gonna go into websites here.
Yeah, you're rolling. Keep going.
So obviously, we talked about before, why you need to have a website. I always like to throw out the statistic, it's 75% of consumers admit to judging the credibility of a company that has a poorly designed website. What will they think of yours if you don't even have one? So it's really important. 6 out of 10 people expect people to provide an online content, and more than half go straight to their website. So there are perks to having a website. You get to tell the story. It adds social proof, just like the reviews. Social proof just basically means that you have other people who can back the legitimacy and the credibility and all of the good things about your business online. It helps you keep that competitive edge, which you really need right now, and is part of that local SEO that I just talked about. So if you have a website already currently, I would encourage you to go on there and either yourself or have somebody else look at it and tell you, hey, can I pull it up easily on my mobile device? Is it mobile friendly? Can I scroll through there easily? Is there thin content? Like, do you just have a paragraph per page? Is the load speed really slow? Do you have an SSL security certificate? So when you go to a website, there's a little lock on the search bar, and that is the SSL adds an S onto the end of the HTTP. So it turns HTTP into HTTPS. That's the SSL. And that basically means that your site is secure. A lot of web platforms like Wix and everybody, they're actually putting that into the package for website build out right now, where they didn't used to do that. So if you have a website that's been around for a minute, you might want to check that out. It's like $99 for the entire year. And then another big one that people don't talk about a lot is having ADA compliancy, so that people who might not be able to see might be able to hear your website, or things of that nature, because a lot of folks, there's a lot of things going around right now where that's becoming a more pressing issue online.
Kayla?
Yes.
Two things on those two things. The SSL you should consider mandatory. If you don't have it on your website, you need to get it. We had a small company. They had a car wash website, and what's happening? Places like Google and stuff are gradually going through, and they're flagging. Two things will happen, or a few things will happen, but two main things is they're flagging websites that are not considered secure. And so he didn't know it. He went to his website, and because someone alerted him, and it basically pulls up a screen that says, warning, we cannot verify, blah, 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 and proceed at your own risk. So it basically made it sound like the website was filled with viruses. So no one's going to go past that screen. Now, that could have been on there a couple of weeks. So I know GoDaddy's SSLs are only $79.99 for a whole year. So it depends on the carrier stuff. So for that limited money, it supplies a level of security and anti-hacking, but it'll satisfy the search engine things. The other things with the ADA compliant thing is most sites won't have these yet, but there are no official rules and regulations from the FCC on this yet. But it all started with wineries downstate where some people with disabilities started suing in class action suits wineries that their sites were not accessible. Couldn't read them, small text, contrast, the blind, et cetera, et cetera. Now what's happening is just like lawyers were chasing car wrecks several years ago and whiplash victims, now class action lawsuits are happening across the state and the country where they're identifying websites saying, listen, I'm colorblind, I'm deaf, I'm this, and I can't access your website. So even though there is no official rules to tell you you have to do this, you could be sued tomorrow if someone hired a lawyer, went after you if you're not what's called ADA compliant, even though the ADA does not have official rules on this. But there are some guidelines out there from some recognized organizations. So what we're doing and what most people are doing is there's some real free widgets and plugins you can put on WordPress sites and Wix sites and things like that that will basically allow you to have text enlargements, contrast enlargements, some speaking text parts. It does basic stuff, which will, if anything, probably meet a defense for you if it ever was brought up saying, listen, we know there's no rules, we know there's no official statement, but we've made an attempt. And for most people's standards, that will do the job.
And I was going to say, if you were going to start with one on a matter of priority, definitely the SSL, because it does actually affect your ranking for the search engine optimization, otherwise known as SEO, whereas ADA compliance doesn't yet fit that bill. So if you're going to put one in a matter of priority, I would definitely recommend that you take care of the SSL, as it does actually affect how you rank. That was through an official study that was put out by Google back in 2013, believe it or not. So let's keep rolling here. Okay, so adding a shop for online sales. If you're not doing online sales, it is time. If anything, we've learned anything in the last few weeks, this is the big kicker here, is that it's time to do online sales. So whether you have WordPress, Squarespace, GoDaddy, Shopify, Wix, what you need to do is look at adding a shop for your online sales. So some of the things here, I kind of broke it out. This is a very basic version. WordPress, people say it's a lot harder to work with, but you have more options available to you to be able to customize that online e-commerce site. Squarespace is highly praised for user-friendly design for small businesses, or like a one-man band, and that there's not a lot of customization options available within Squarespace because it is a newer platform, and it's kind of like going to the App Store. There's a lot more apps available for iPhones than Androids because Google Play is a lot newer than the App Store for Apple. So it's kind of the same deal with WordPress versus Squarespace. GoDaddy is probably the cheapest in terms of online stores. It's user-friendly, but again, very limited, even more so than Squarespace. But it is a great spot for those just looking to have like a jumping off point. Also, you could add a shop like Shopify, and there are options. You just have to do your research. And we don't really have time to get into how to add an online shop. We just wanted to touch on the fact that if you don't have one, you'll need to decide on a plan, create an inventory, figure out payment methods, factor in tax and shipping, and any processes that go with that online shop right now. So I know it sounds daunting, but if you take really small bite-sized pieces of that puzzle right now and just start working on them, one of those being where do you start with WordPress, Squarespace, GoDaddy, Shopify, all of those things, and then start to think about adding in how do you create that inventory and all of that stuff afterwards. And again, we're here if you guys need help figuring those things out. With that whole online shop, I would recommend making a FAQ so your customers are well informed on the process from A to Z when they're buying from you, especially when it's online, because that can get, if it's new, you want to make sure that you're just putting out as much information as possible to those people who are purchasing from you online. And then going a step further, you could create a promotions tab on your website. I have a client who does this, and she shares her monthly specials for her shop, and she kind of treats it like a blog and links it right to her online store. And again, if you're on Pinterest too, you can link straight to your online store via your Pinterest pin. So there are a lot of options there. When you add an e-commerce site, and you add a shop to your site, there are a lot of options to drive traffic to that site on your website and just start really cranking out those online sales that you didn't have. Chris, anything you want to add with that?
No, we got to move.
All right, so social media. Let's talk through first order of business. If you guys don't have a Facebook business page, Instagram business page, or at least a creator account, you guys need one. If you haven't switched over to that, it's a fairly easy process to do so. And with this, the reason why I always tell people you need to switch to a business account or a creator account is that you need to get into your insights to be able to see the back end and see what your accounts are actually doing for you on social. Some of the building blocks of success is engaging, entertaining, informing, and attracting. These are kind of this is the foundation pillar behind your social media success. On Facebook, I'm not going to get too much into all these demographics. I want you guys to take time to read through here. If you're like, well, I don't know why I need a business profile. I get a lot of people asking me all the time. I've heard switching to a business profile actually decreases the amount of people who see your stuff. So I just prefer to be on my personal accounts. Okay. This is all the reasons why you should have a business account. You can take the time to read through that on your own. And then also, right now, big thing I want to point out with this is that large companies have actually decreased their advertising spend on social right now, which means less competition and decreased ad spend for you as a small business, which is huge. So a lot of those larger companies have really backed off, which allows this super saturated market to kind of have a little bit of a breather so that small businesses can be like, oh, hey, on social media right now. Some best practices I want to cover with you guys is that you need to fill out everything thoroughly in the About section. This is kind of how Facebook verifies that you are a legitimate business, just like on Google Business. So filling out your categories, all your hours, your information, the About section, making sure that you picked the right template for your Facebook account. Again, you can Google how to do that. It's fairly easy once you get in there. Using images size specifically, they're all different. So your cover image, your profile picture, your feed, and your events photos, they're all different. You can use a really handy web-based application called canva.com. And they can put that in the chat below for you guys. It's canva.com. And it has already done the work for you, so you don't even have to think about it. There's templates in there that you can pull from. There's images, fonts, and all of that stuff. So it makes it really easy for small businesses to design their own content that's actually sized properly for the specific platform that they're on. Again, focusing on quality over quantity. A lot of people think they need to be posting 7 times a week. It's not true. In fact, I would argue the exact opposite. You should be posting less and digging into your insights to see the best time of day to post, and actually boosting your engagement. So that's the amount of people liking, commenting, and interacting with you. And then again, responding to all of your reviews and asking for more, especially right now. That's a really great way that you can get some free visibility. Look for ways you can go live or incorporate more video on your feed on Facebook, listing your services, posting photos to your albums, starting those conversations, and then keeping a consistent voice and feel to your feed. That's really important as well, so that your brand is cohesive. Ads that convert on Facebook are seamless, eye-catching, colorful. They're highly personalized to the buyer. They have an offer that people can take advantage of, and they have 20% or less text on the image. So any of these sponsored posts, a lot of them do well just because they look like they're part of somebody's feed to begin with. How to boost, again, you guys are gonna get this slide deck, so you're gonna have all this fun information. This is where I can't unfortunately go into ad campaigns too much right now, but boosting a post right now could be a really great tool for you guys. And getting into talking about your audience, so picking a gender, age, location, and targeting options. What are they searching for where you will appear as a sponsored ad? So like if you've ever gone on Amazon and then you've gone on Facebook and that exact same product then appears on your feed, that's exactly what you're trying to do here by picking those demographic and those targeting options in a specific location to a specific group of people. Finishing up, you are choosing your budget, which is really important. Note your estimated people reached will change based on how much you are willing to spend. Adding more dollars to your budget reaches more people. However, I will say, I tell a lot of people, do not start with a massive budget. Start low, see what it does for you, test it, prove it before you start adding more and more money to your budget right now. So a great place for you guys to start might be $30 for your first ad.
It's amazing what $30, $40 can do locally. And you know, that's where you get into, and for those of you who've done boosts or whatever, that's the flexibility of the small business. We like to do boosts 5, 6, 7 days. Don't do a boost for 20 or 30 days. Play with it, work with it. But you can reach 5, 6, 7, 8,000 people a day sometimes. It's amazing how they'll pop up. And the best thing about the Facebook boost, and I won't go into detail, is they've already screened potential customers for you. They've already found people that have already been online searching for something related to what you're trying to sell. They've already done that homework for you. So it's not like a direct mailer that's just being shotgunned out to everybody in the neighborhood. It's already someone that might have already been searching for something related to you. That's why it's appearing on their screen.
Yes. And just like Chris said, you know, test it. I always tell people too, if you have the money to do a comparable ad, you can run a separate ad that is that has different media, so different image, a video, and then you run it against a different audience, so you can kind of compare and contrast the two and see which one's actually going to do better for you on your platform. But again, that's more for another day. So let's get into Instagram really quick. Again, I'm not going to go into here. I just want to point out, you guys can read this on your own. Users are 70% more likely to purchase again than non-Instagram users. 75% of active users take action on a page, visiting a website, looking at a product, or commenting or interacting with a brand of their choice. And 75.3% of businesses in the US will have an Instagram account in 2020. That's pretty huge statistic right there. Instagram feed best practices. Okay, so you need a solid hook. This is like the very beginning of your caption. You only get a certain amount of characters before it kind of says see more, and that's where people have to click to read the rest of your post. So the hook is that very beginning caption where you really capture their attention and you hook them from the very get-go. This is the most common mistake I see on Instagram. It's just this big jumble of text at the top, and people just hope that by saying, isn't this cute, people will read the rest of their post, and that's just not the case. Use images sized specifically for your Instagram feed. This is another common mistake. Instagram is all about aesthetics. You'll hear people saying, oh, that's changing now. It's really not, you guys. I've done multiple polls on multiple different people's accounts. People still like what they call a curated feed, which means that they have images that are laid out well. The images aren't getting cut off on the edges. And again, you can use Canva to really accomplish this for you, that resized. So again, the focus is on, I don't know, I think I'm echoing on your, there, I went away, sorry. Focusing on quality over quantity. Again, digging into the insights to see what your account is actually doing for you on a monthly basis. I go in once a month to kind of see what my accounts are all doing. And then responding to every comment to improve your engagement rate. And then again, spending 15 minutes a day engaging with others on the platform. I just did a little mini training in my stories yesterday where I literally showed people how to do that and what I do on a daily basis. And it helps when you're talking about staying away from spammy services like follow for follow, loop giveaways, buy-ins, because the focus on Instagram is all about organic growth, like not growing through these spammy kind of skeezy things that make people's skin crawl, and just being a real person. Shocking. Keeping a consistent voice and feel to your feed that is cohesive with your brand is also incredibly important, just like Facebook. So that does not change across any social channel. This is how you boost a post from your mobile device. You will want to make sure on your Facebook ads manager that you have added in a credit card, because it will go through the back end of your ads account to actually push this out, this budget and this promotion. Again, you guys are going to get this, so have no fear. You'll be able to see how to do it. And then let's just go into some additional options here. Chris?
Videos, videos, videos. Kayla mentioned it a handful of times. You know, videos are 7 to 8 more times likely to be seen on any social platform, especially Instagram. But you can't do enough of these right now. And you know, what are you going to use a video for? You're a small business. Well, you're not having that daily interaction with a customer. You can do simple updates, what's going on. You can do videos of yourself communicating. Remember those 3 words. You can communicate, you can collaborate, but okay, let's say your store is closed, but you're trying to sell some of your inventory. Go around your store, video your inventory, explain what it is, show them Show behind the scenes. Let's say you're a restaurant. Show making the food. Show the product. Still pictures just are not as enticing. Plus, when a lot of people don't have their settings changed on their phone, if they're looking at a social media platform, the videos will auto play, right? Show the inventory, describe it, talk to them, give demonstrations on different things. We're not talking 2, 3, 4, 5 minute videos, just little snippets type deals. You cannot do enough videos, and it doesn't have to be, you know, cinematic masterpieces, just honest goodness. Kayla kept saying the brand, the brand, the brand, the brand. Well, you are the brand in most cases. They know you. Well, they can't touch you right now or see you or come and interact with you. Interact with them on there. You'll see in a few minutes where we talk about fitness places doing videos of instructions and stuff. So we can, you know, that's an example. Next thing is email campaigns. I'd love to think that most of you had email addresses from your clients, but I've been around the block long enough. I have these gray hairs for a reason to know that most of you don't. But if you do, you should be emailing out to them and updating them as to what's going on, and then hopefully using some kind of specials with them, enticing them to do something, to go to your Facebook page, to go to your website for a special, to do whatever it might be, to take, you know, that kind of step to whatever. If you don't, there's ways you can collect emails on your Facebook and start things like that to get going too. So, Kayla?
Yeah, and a really great way to kind of bridge that gap is start with a newsletter and have an opt-in for your email campaign and different things like that. Just to touch on those videos really quick. For example, I go on my stories on Instagram every single day except for Saturday and Sunday, and even then I share little tidbits. But it's the #1 way that people know me, and people know how much coffee I like to drink in the morning. They know what I like, don't like. I mean, they know me because I'm on there and I'm showing up for them, and I want them to know me and interact with me that way because that's how I want my brand to be represented. So you have to think, how do you want your brand represented? Even if you don't like getting on video, which I get, it's scary. And it's hard for a lot of folks. I've done several like Instagram story trainings and challenges and things like that. And the #1 thing that I get is, oh, I just can't stand going on video. People don't care that you don't look like a newscaster when you go on your video, guys. They just want to see you. They're here for you. Just like Chris said, you are the brand. They want you. They don't want your business spiel. They want to interact with you on a personal one-to-one basis now, because personalization, like I said before, is all the rage in 2020. And the more that you can personalize your brand, which is you, and your product that goes with you, the more you're going to get people enticed and excited about your offers. So, okay, so let's go in. Another way that you can really do that is by creating a Facebook group. This has been a really huge thing that's come up out of this whole elephant in the room, is having a Facebook group that's more personalized for your clients and followers. So you're kind of creating this like little community group about your products and the services and educational things, and just having a place where people can gather because they can't do it in person. A lot of folks talk about having drip text campaigns, website, you know, we talked about the blog, the specials page, the online store, having a big push in your social media to your website, whether that's, hey, I just wrote a blog post, or hey, my shop is live, I just launched my online store, hey, did you know I'm on Pinterest, and just all kinds of things. And then again, like if you're a maker, if you're on Etsy or you have online sales for retail items on social platforms, there are just so many ways and angles that you can approach this that can really just help you put yourself out there in a way that maybe you haven't done before. So the questions you need to then ask yourself right now are, what can you do now? So do you need to build an online shop? Have you claimed all the business profiles you need to? Are your profiles as clean as possible? Is your information filled out? Do you have photos? Are your hours accurate? And do they match across all channels? You know, those types of things. Are you utilizing your organic posts, so your non-paid posts? Are you utilizing those to the best of your ability? Do you have that hook? Do you tag other people? Are you actively involved in responding to comments? 5, are there relationships you can make with other local businesses that will help you at this time? 6, have you tapped into disaster assistance if necessary? There's loans out there, there's grants out there. Can you offer curbside or delivery services, or can you work with someone who does? Do you need to address your payment options? So like we talked about, do you need to address a payment schedule, or do you need to look at PayPal fees versus Square fees, or like I said, the fees you need to research with all of those payment options? And then are you adequately, this is the big one, are you adequately communicating with your potential clients about how you are approaching this time? So trying something new, write those Google posts regularly, getting on video, whether it's the live stories or just on your feed, communicate with your clients, showcase your products, share FAQs, and be real with them about your struggles and show that you are a human. Start working on collaborations with other local businesses, working together, boost a post for more visibility, with keeping in mind that it's going to be cheaper and you're going to reach more just because you're not competing with the big guys right now. And then creating a specials page on your website and sharing specials there regularly, and then driving that traffic there through your email campaigns, through Pinterest, through social, anywhere you can, you're pushing it there to that online store. And then adding to your routine, like I said, sending an email campaign with newsletter, new product feature, or specials, reaching out to former clients and asking for reviews and testimonials. You don't have to have an email list to do that. You can just send out something on social, or shoot them a text if you're friendly with them like that. Get consistent with your social media and start showing up regularly. Educate your customers on who you are and what you do, and then be willing and flexible to try anything to get through this.
Before we go on, Kayla, I was thinking about the online store, and I bet you a lot of you are saying, wow, adding an online store to my existing website, that'll be a daunting task, and that'll cost me money and everything else like that. And, there would be some expense to it, and it's probably something you should have had before, and, and you'll need to do sometime. But there's a Band-Aid approach to this too, that you can start into, and a lot of local businesses I know that I know personally I've seen do. They'll take the video and they'll go around and they'll promote certain products and certain video or pieces of inventory. We've got this on sale, we got this on sale, and they'll do that on social media, and they'll push it out and they'll post it, or they'll do an email campaign with it, or they'll do a text on it, and they'll be reaching out to their customers. The customers also are sending messages to their to these stores on their Facebook pages and on their website and stuff, saying, hey, do you have this model thing, and do you have that model thing? Okay, you can, as a temporary thing, you don't have to necessarily then sell it online, but you are selling it online, but you don't have to have that online store to do these online sales, if that makes sense to you. So you're promoting it all online, you're doing it all online, but then you tell the customer, okay, here it is, blah, blah, blah. You're working it all through. You may even talk to them on the phone. Then they come, and then you do the curbside pickup. Or then you do it all, and then you just do a regular shipping like you would with anybody, with FedEx or UPS or whatever. So for some of you, that'll be your Band-Aid while you're getting your storefront online sales together. Now, the other thing that's it's kind of on these lists and stuff like that. Believe it or not, we're both busier than ever, because we've got customers now that are taking this time and they're saying, you know what, now is a good time for us to rebuild our websites. Now is a good time for us to do these things they're doing on some of these lists, because this isn't going to change. These habits that are happening for people now, restaurants that are delivering with, what's the term they're using now? Non-contact deliveries, right? Where they just drop it off at your doorstep and wait in your car to make sure you've got it. Curbside pickup, stuff like that. That's not going away after this crisis ends. online sales are going to stay rocketing through the place. People are recognizing that. So I know it's an investment to a certain degree, but you can work out payment plans with people like us too, if you have to, to get this work done when the time comes. So everybody's got their own flexibility going on. Whoop, bye-bye.
I would add to that too. I have several folks on Instagram who've actually created separate Instagram accounts for a shop. So if they have a spring launch, they will literally share a post of the image that they're selling. And then they'll say, in the comments, the shop opens here. And then they actually have it to where people are bidding on the items, almost like an auction. And whoever, she says, when the auction ends, and whoever is the last bid there with the dollar amount that they want to give for the product, which is a really creative way to approach it at this time, is the winner. And then she sends them a Venmo or a PayPal invoice, and then that's how she ships them their item. So there's a lot of people doing some really creative things out there, and like I said, sharing it in their stories, selling it in their stories. A lot of people will be like, okay, like this mason jar is for sale in my stories. First come, first serve. Whoever DMs me first gets it. And then whoever DMs you for the mason jar, you send them a PayPal invoice, and that's how you sell that product online. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can approach this. Like Chris said, don't just think that you need to, if you're feeling the pinch and you're feeling stressed, because I get it, it's really difficult right now to want to spend the money. There are a lot of different ways that you can approach this and creative and get creative with that item and that sale.
The telemarketers don't, they're not affected by the COVID thing. They just called in and offered me $5,000. So, there's no problem with that.
All right, should we get into some of these creative examples here? Let's see. So we're going to get into food service first. I just wanted to share a couple of these fun things with you guys. These are kind of the local guys of what they're doing out here in Colorado Springs, just so you can kind of get a change of scenery, and there are some local ones in your area as well that I do believe that I pulled. But they're doing things like taco kits, takeaways, 15% off for medical and hospital workers and first responders, beer to go, because they can do that now, which is kind of awesome. And then also, if you're within a 10-mile radius, they're doing free delivery for orders $75 or more, and the clerks advise on what's available in the refrigerator and freezer section. And this one's actually a sponsored ad. The Garden of the Gods Market and Cafe is actually sponsored, and it's something that you can take home and put in the oven yourself when you don't feel like cooking still. So it's kind of a really fun way to approach it. So you can see 3 different ways right there. One of my personal favorites is the top left with the pasta sale, saying, "You tried, now call Peravicini's," which is a local Italian restaurant. You can even see a lot of places who used to sell their oysters in like local markets and whatnot. They're now selling them online in an online shop. The Cape Winery, they are actually doing curbside delivery, even though they don't have a curb, and it's just, you call their number and then they put your wine out on their handy dandy little chair. So again, it's nothing fancy, guys, but it works. And they have been kept very busy with their curbside service because, again, they're communicating that with people really well. So there's a lot of different ways for curbside pickup or delivery, online ordering. You can even make it fun like Peravicini's and get even more likes and shares on it right now because everyone can relate.
2 other food service ones that, and like I said, this is examples of creative. There's a restaurant in Sackett's we deal with called Goodfellas. They have Wednesday wine night, and it packs the place normally because they do $2 house glasses of wine. Can't do it anymore, obviously. So they're obviously doing Goodfellas to go for their dinners and everything else like that. Well, now, of course, you can get liquor and beer to go. So they're doing Goodfellas wine night to go, $8 bottles of house wines with to go. And they're actually having very busy wine Wednesday nights now. So it's like bring the wine Wednesday to go. And so they've heard that some of the regulars that go are now like Facebooking each other and having their own little dinners together and things like that. And it's kind of fun. Then the best one, my wife just saw yesterday locally, a little diner locally in a little town. They're, of course, they're doing the to-go and the takeout and stuff like that. They made their own chicken barbecue yesterday instead of their regular Monday special. Promoted it on Facebook. People called, ordered ahead, and the cars just pulled up curbside and they sold their dinners that way. And that was their Monday special. So they had chicken barbecue dinner to go. So it was kind of a cross between like a fire department barbecue and whatever, but that was a diner. Creative. They use social media to organize it. So, people are doing what they got to do, and they had a very good Monday. They sold their 200 halves or whatever they cooked, so.
Yeah, and the same thing goes, I mean, people are getting just super creative, like in the fitness realm too, especially plugging away at that whole at-home fitness. And then not only do they have that, so this Pure Barre place has a special to be used when the studio reopens. So it's kind of a great way to use something back when they open again. But they also are saying you have free classes and free access online for 60 days through the local teacher. So it's still a continuation of the same feel that you would have gotten in studio. It's just online, and you sign up and get the offer through their website, which is kind of awesome. And then again, that 30-day at-home fitness and nutrition challenge. It's $14.99 for Ferose Fitness. They're doing something like that. This other community fitness is a gift certificate for membership, whether you purchase that for yourself or someone else, so that you can just use it later when they go to reopen again. It's a great way to keep people in business, is buying gift cards. Same thing for the local restaurants in your area and really any other small business that you know. So that can be another great way that you can really plug your online sales, is having those gift cards available for people to purchase. And then too, if you don't want to do something like Pure Barre and you're still a fitness, you can have a free workout Friday, and it's free to anyone, doesn't have to be a member or anything like that, but it still gets people engaged with you and your brand. Retail, there's some really fun things that people are doing right now through retail, doing virtual walkthroughs of their space, having personal shoppers, curbside service, or educating on where customers can order your products online, like we already talked about. You could do something like offer a special discount code to the first 100 people who stream your live event, or create an exclusive behind the scenes look at a new product to customers on your email list. Get creative with how you make your customers still feel invested in your brand and engage with your content from a distance. So you can see the Smith Lucille's Marketplace had a gentleman in a shower cap and in a tub in their retail space talking about their all natural products, cleaning soaps and more, that all the different vendors that they have that sell that. And that was a live that they did, which I thought was super creative. They've got, there is a very large furniture store out here that sells rare finds, so they're more expensive. So it's going to be even harder for them, where they're doing virtual walkthroughs of their stores on a regular basis. And they say, let us know if you want to buy it and we can hold it for you, and you can pick it up at a later date. These prices are discount before, so some really great deals. And then, flower shop saying, please support us. You can order through our flower website, or send flowers to anyone in the United States through our website. So it might even help to offer a coupon discount or gift card to encourage online shopping while your customers are staying home anyway. So there are a lot of really, really fun ways to kind of incorporate that feel. And honestly, I kind of am excited, because this is what small business is, in my opinion. Like, I get excited about this because this is something that I feel like is going to continue after the elephant in the room leaves, because people are connecting with this. There's humor, there's intention behind it, there's education, it's an entertaining. And this is what social media was created for. And so instead of what used to happen where people were selling, they're now doing those pillars and those foundational blocks of social media, which is to engage, inform, entertain, and attract. But they're doing it in a whole different way than they used to, where they just used to say, hey, this is a fun picture of vendor number whatever with their cleaning stores. No, now they're in a bathtub and a shower cap, you guys. Education, there's a lot of different people doing different things with tutoring. The zoos and aquariums are all streaming live videos. I'm sure you've seen the penguins walking through the aquarium on their own. I think they just released puppies in there the other day. You can use things like Google Hangouts, Skype, Zoom to offer your services remotely. If you are someone who teaches, just like we're doing now, there are a lot of different ways. GoToMeeting, I will also recommend, because they also have webinars that you can do. Examples can be, you know, just doing those things remotely and virtually, and sharing resources that people can do. So like if you are a learning center, sharing weekly challenges for parents, best play ideas for when kids are stuck at home, and really getting kind of that feel to where you're still educating people, but again, you're doing it in a different way and you're meeting their needs where they're at right now, which is at home, hopefully. Chris, anything you want to add to that one?
No.
Okay. Healthcare also, you're seeing a lot of people offering telehealth services. I actually had a client who was a skincare and esthetician, and she is now switching and making herself available for telemedicine because she's a PA to begin with. So she hopped on as soon as she found out she would have to close her doors. She is now figuring out how she can make herself available via telehealth services to patients, keeping them educated on what's going on at the clinic, family medicine in Northern New York. She is also doing telehealth, and she had a ton of fun pictures of her just like, you know, engaging with her clients and sharing, you know, if they have an acute problem. We're still open and seeing patients as well. So just kind of how you're keeping them safe if there's one person in the waiting room at a time. And different things like that, or if you can make masks or donate to a cause that they're standing for. All those different things in healthcare are really great ways that you can kind of interact with those people who follow you, educate with your stuff. Creatives, I just love seeing what people have coming out now. They're like putting together kits of make your own craft kits. They're doing free patterns for crochet. They're sharing a lot more about their vendors and their planning and how much they wish that, you know, their chalkboards could be at weddings. And they're just getting really creative on ways to reduce stress in people's lives while they're at home. And that's kind of the big way that they're holding interest right now. And they're putting kind of that spin on it, you know, take your own transfer, craft kits headed your way, reduce your stress while you're at home and have something to do. Other things that we'll touch on are just, you know, the auto companies are coming to your home now. Chris mentioned to me the other day, there is a car dealership who is coming by to do test drives. They're dropping the car off at your home so you can do a test drive on the vehicle if you want to buy it. Real estate brokers are talking mindset tips and education on loans and the time to buy. They're also sharing humor. I think my favorite one was, never thought I'd say as a realtor to a client, could you see yourself quarantined here? I think that was my favorite that I've seen so far. And then virtual exhibits, again, are becoming a really huge thing in the nonprofit and the arts community. And again, it's just so encouraging to see how creative people are getting online and what they're doing to think outside of that box and stretch their limits. You can put this in the chat as well. There's a book you guys should tap into by Seth Godin, Godin. It's called The Purple Cow. And I actually talked about it today on my social media, and it's talking about how there are so many brown cows out in the world, and you need to think about being a purple cow and how you can offer something that's remarkable to your, you know, making your products and your services remarkable. And that's what people are doing right now. And they're turning into purple cows from brown cows. The market is so saturated with brown cows, and it's all about standing out right now, and doing things like this to where people are like, wow, I've never seen that before, because it does. It just automatically catches your attention. All right, Chris, do you want to go over any of these?
Well, basically, these are just some more ideas. I'm a big fan of contests on social media. What can you do to have that interaction on social media? And Kayla, you can jump in on any of these, but not just always post. What can you do? We've got a restaurant that's going to be opening up in a few weeks or a month or a couple months, I'd say. It's been delayed, but so we're gonna we're gonna put contests on there where what items would you like to see on the menu? Give us some names for some burgers. Give us some names for some of the entrees, those kind of things. And then they can win dinner for two. Have that kind of back and forth, like, share, win contest type of a situation. We mentioned the car dealer. I thought the Popeyes thing that they were doing was, they gave 1,000 customers who did a tweet of the fried chicken with the hashtag. They gave them a Netflix username to use for a month type deal. Farmers markets are opening up, but they don't want to have that interaction. So there's one in the Ozarks where all the farmers markets were lined up in a single row, and the cars drove through in a single line and kind of passed the vendor, never left their cars, and said, oh, I'd like that, I'd like that, I'd like that. And they handed them that type of a situation. Emails we talked about, referral programs, if they can think of people that could send them other customers. Now, that's the type of thing I like all of the time anyways, where you would have email referrals where if one of your existing, I call your existing customers your best marketing ambassadors they could be. Kayla, what was the games thing here?
The online scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
Trivia contest or online scavenger hunt. So there's a lot of different things I think that people can tap into as far as like just making it engaging. So one of the online scavenger hunts they have that I've seen is going to different people's accounts and looking for different things that they've posted. I've seen accounts like I just advised a restaurant about how to keep their kids entertained while they're away from school, and that was, have a contest where you use the polls in your stories, again, so you're on video, and you ask them, you give them like a little pop quiz about a menu item. There are a lot of accounts that are hiding emojis and pictures. So they take their own picture and they hide an emoji in it. They've got it to where they're doing challenges, like cooking challenges or writing challenges. They're just trying to keep people as engaged as possible and doing things that helps kick the boredom, because that seems to be the kind of common thread amongst all people across the board right now is, there are a lot of people who are just kind of stuck at home right now and don't really know what to do with the time on their hands. So there could be really great ways that you can help people easily participate in things that can be fun and entertaining for them to do, and still incorporate your business. So like I have an apartment complex where they have a scavenger hunt in the apartment complex for those rocks, the painted rocks, and you don't touch them. You just say, you take pictures of where you found them, and there's like 5 of them, and then you upload them to the apartment manager in an email, and then they send you a gift card for Amazon or whatever. So I mean, there's lots of different ways you can do both online and offline to keep people engaged in what you're doing with your business. So
there was one other big thing I wanted to point out as a real source of opportunity for you to not only do social media posts, but to develop activities and specials around. And that's National Everything Days. There's calendars out there. You can just Google national days, national weeks, national whatever. And they're excellent opportunities for you to develop these events or posts and or specials around. For example, Sunday, March 29th was National Small Business Appreciation Day. And so I did a post on all of my clients' Facebook pages, and they give you the language. They give you the materials usually to do these. And it basically says that, you know, now this had nothing to do with coronavirus, okay? This is just an annual day that it says, you know, that 50% of the businesses in the United States are made up of small businesses, and that we need to appreciate them. And it had 3 key bullet points. One about how they support the community and how they provide economic, and that they employ local people. And so you just spin that around, saying during these troubling times, we want to say thank you for your continued, all you've done for us in the past, and we're still open, or we're doing this, or whatever it might have been, and any support you can continue to show us will be greatly appreciated. And you state those 3 reasons. Well, they got liked and shared, and it just created a great amount of buzz on there. And then there's National Pizza Day, there's National Popsicle Day, there's National Anything Day you can imagine going on. Now, April 7th, who would know that April 7th is National 8-Track Day, okay? Now, we have electronic and music stores, car stereos, all that kind of stuff coming up. Now, if they were open, a regular business, what a great opportunity to promote National 8-Track Day and say, well, okay, maybe you remember those, maybe you don't, but we sure can upgrade your system now and bring you, a sound or something like that. It's just fun stuff you can do all of the time. But I guarantee you there is a day for anything you can think of. There's National, Monday was National Doctors Day. What better day to post something on your pages than to say thank you for all they're doing to protect us? I mean, they're literally dying to protect us. So look for those kind of things too. Plus, you can build specials around them too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we had just a fun little interactive. If anyone has any other creative examples they've seen that they want to share before we go into Q&A, we'll just open that up for if they want to just type it in the chat, or if they want to raise their hand. I don't know how you guys want to work that.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that, Renee. They can send them to Renee and we can talk about them, and then we can also go into Q&A. But that's it in a nutshell from us. It's just that we really see. We know this is tough. We know this is tough. And, we're not, I said we're busy and stuff like that, but we've also had clients that have pulled back too. That it's tough times for all of them. But we also literally mean it when we say that for some of you, this is an opportunity that you need to view it that way. And others, you've been doing some of this, and maybe this will give you some ideas on other things you can do. And for others, I'm a very plain spoken person. It's a kick in the pants that maybe you needed to get that shift going into the online world. A bad way to have to do it. But it needs to be done one way or the other, even without this terrible situation we're in. So we're here for questions, answers, best we can. If we don't know the answer, we'll figure it out and we'll get it back to you.
Yeah, so if you want to just type those in the chat, and then we can answer those for you. Do want to say too, I was just going to say, if I know you're feeling the pinch, I know I felt it. A lot of my clients are feeling it. I mean, like, I just wanted to reiterate what Chris said. I'm small businesses first. Here for you guys, whatever you need. If you have questions, you want to reach out even after this. But feel free, any question, no question is dumb. Just put it in the chat. Like, we'd be happy to answer anything that you have, or anything that came up that maybe was confusing during this presentation. So if you want to just,
Or you'd like more detail on.
Great. Thank you so much, Kayla and Chris. We definitely had some good questions come in during the presentation, and we also had lots of thank yous. We had a few quick questions about the presentation being recorded, which it is, and we'll definitely share that with people after, so don't worry about that. The first question, how do you handle a Google business listing if you have more than one location?
that's a great question. You need to create a Google business listing for each location. So if you, for example, we have a veterinary clinic that has locations in Lowville, Boonville, Carthage, and
Otter Lake.
Lake, thank you. We have a listing for each location because each location has its own physical address. So you need to make sure, especially if it is a location, that they are able to then, because again, you're thinking this is local search. So you want that to come up in the local search in Boonville or Otter Lake or Carthage or Lowville. And you want people to be able to just drive right up to it by just clicking on your listing for directions. So that's why you need to have a listing for each one.
Thank you. Would you recommend maybe they have their business name and then at whatever location is, so that way you can differentiate between them?
Nope, you don't need that. You can. So I believe theirs is Countryside Vet Clinic, Lowville. It's got like a little hyphen. But the putting in the location of the actual business will clarify that for you. So you can, but it's not necessary.
Would you recommend WordPress, Squarespace, GoDaddy, etc. for professionals like law firms or doctors' offices?
I personally, this is me personally, I prefer a WordPress site over the other sites. Just simply for the sheer fact of being able to do whatever I want and customize that site to a higher ability than you can on other sites. However, that doesn't mean that Squarespace or Wix doesn't have great capabilities. It just means that they're less. Kind of like I said in the presentation, there's just a lot more plugins and platforms like Elementor or that theme builders that make it easier for you to build out a website on WordPress, and you just have more capabilities in the long term. If you're just looking for something for like the next 5 years, some of those other might be a great option for you. But if you're looking to have a website and that you don't want to mess with, you know, and that's going to last you for a while, I would highly recommend WordPress, just myself personally.
I'm even more defined. We are almost exclusively building WordPress websites at this point for a number of reasons. One, it's the #1 open source software for websites in the world. It's responsive, it's mobile friendly. I agree with Kayla. It has the most plugins, depending on what they want. If you want to, you know, a professional probably doesn't want an online store, but if you did, you could put it in there. The ADA compliance, I know we said Kayla's right in terms of the SSL first, but we're building all of our sites now with the ADA compliance in them, and it's just so easy to get a widget to put in there. Then more importantly, all these softwares or websites we're talking about, they're basically template-driven websites. So WordPress websites have places like Theme, Forest, and all these other places you can go, and there's just such a selection of templates that then you can customize, where the others, GoDaddy and places like that, they have very limited themes to choose from. So you can really make a customized website. And the most important thing is then the user the law firm can go in. It's a little complicated, but it's not bad. They have back-end capabilities where they can change pictures, edit text, update specials if it's a restaurant, things like that. Not quite as user-friendly as a Wix or a GoDaddy or something like that, but so we're WordPress almost 100% now.
Do you have any suggestions specific to consulting firms that do work around the country? They already have a website and a blog.
I'm curious.
What else they're talking about? I mean, obviously they should be on other platforms such as LinkedIn. They should be, they should have a social media presence. LinkedIn, I still think they need the basics. LinkedIn, Facebook. Kayla can just say whether they should have a Instagram or not. I think they need to cover their roots there. If they aren't doing the Google, I still think they need all the basics, regardless of whether they're a consulting firm or not. I mean, in many ways, you could call us consultants, but we actually carry out work for people, but we're consultants to a degree too. So, I mean, LinkedIn is great. We didn't touch upon it, but it's great because it's a business to business type of a situation. So I think they still have to do all of their basics and market out that way. So
could you maybe ask them if that's I guess I'm just more clarification on that question.
Absolutely. I'll send them a follow-up. I'll ask this one while I do that. Any marketing tips for businesses and services that are emotionally sensitive, for example, funeral homes, monument businesses, and cemeteries?
That's a great question. Yeah, you definitely have to toe the line right now, especially with that. I have seen quite a few funeral homes who are being really interactive and very sensitive to the fact that people can't gather to be with their loved ones for a funeral right now, especially in some states. So they might just want to talk about how they're trying to bridge that gap for people, and just to have that, if you are being sensitive to that, just showing that in your words and your actions on the accounts that you're on. Because I think I've been, the ones that I've read, I've been just kind of touched by the compassion coming from the funeral home directors or whoever. They were actually on video talking about how they were sorry that the families have to go through this right now, to where they can't, I can't imagine, because I just had to fly home for a funeral back in February. So I can't imagine, if you approach it with that compassionate feel and you show that personal side to your service, whether you're a funeral home or cemetery, and you're just communicating with them about how you're trying to bridge that gap and how you feel for them in this time. I think that's all you can really do right now. Because it is such a hot button topic with people.
right, and I actually just had a son of a friend pass away in the last 2 weeks, and I totally agree with Kayla in terms of the personalization aspect from the funeral director or any of these type of people. That's where the video will come into play. They need to be on there with a personalized message on a regular basis, just talking about from their hearts. And funeral directors and people like that are some of the nicest, genuine people you'll ever meet in your life. Just talking about, we can't, we can only help when we understand, and we know that that's part of the process, and this isn't the right terminology, but you're being robbed of that to a certain degree of the grieving process, and we will do our best to accommodate you. So the one funeral director, they actually still had calling hours, and they did the social distancing, and they streamed the calling hours live. for people who could not make it. And then they actually tastefully did some FaceTimes with some people, and then they streamed the funeral live for people. So they took the
In person.
technology the best they could and made it as personal as it could. But I totally agree with Kayla that the funeral person or whoever the in-person person just expressing the wishes of the family and helping any way they can and putting that message out before the family, just saying, listen, we know and we'll work with you any way you want to make this happen.
Yeah.
Best you can. And you know how funeral directors, funerals always do those slideshows of the deceased? Putting that on their website and stuff now, because when you're standing in line at calling hours, you're just gravitated towards those old pictures of a person. Putting that on a website now, so that you can remember the person the way you remembered them. And so, yeah.
Thank you. And we do have a follow-up to the question on the consulting firm that does business across the country. They said,
Okay.
yes, thanks. Have accounts with Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. There have been some great tips so far, but I was wondering if there was anything else they might have to offer since we are service-based versus product-based and not necessarily centered in a community.
Yeah, so I mean, that's how I am. I'm based in Colorado Springs, and I have clients in Washington and Colorado, Idaho, Montana, and Chicago and Michigan. So, I mean, when you're a service-based business, it doesn't change. A lot of consulting agencies just think, oh, I'm service-based, so I have to push my service, and I have to keep pushing this service that I offer. I don't have a product, you know. And in some ways, a lot of us consulting people, we get a little jealous of the people who do have products to sell, because a lot of our things are the more intangibles, right? So like for me, is getting in my stories every day or getting on video, and sharing education and like working with small businesses on more of a one-to-one basis, in my stories, running challenges, opening up my Facebook. I have a Facebook group I just opened where I'm sharing about grants and grant writing and loans and disaster assistance, and then also about how, you know, how I want to start doing more teaching aspects, because I've done a lot of teaching. So just having those kind of things where even if you're a consulting agency and you have something that's an intangible, you still have to market yourself. So if you have people on your team, you know, like in my stories every week, I have Tuesday tip day. So I give them 3 to 5 tips every Tuesday, practical marketing tips. And actually I'm doing that every single day right now, except for Saturday and Sunday during this time. And then on Thursdays, I have Did You Know, where I share technical marketing tips and like what's new, what apps are new, what technology is new, what's coming to the platforms, and things like that, because a lot of people won't take the time to research on that on their own. And if you're a consulting agency, that's what you can offer. You know that stuff. And a lot of people don't want to give those away right now. But I would argue that's the most important thing you can do as a consulting agency right now, is giving value, free value on a regular basis, and educating those people on what it is that you do, and really setting yourself up as a leader, no matter what community that you're in, as that consulting agency.
Thank you. They said thank you as well. And the video sounds like a great idea. So they really appreciate that answer. So as a business owner, it's very hard to keep up on everything. For someone who's looking to hire someone to do social media, do they need to be a local person?
You don't need to be a local. It depends on your personality. I had a gal that I worked with out of Washington. It was remotely, and I ended up telling her, you know, I really think that you need to find someone locally, just because of the amount of time she wanted to spend working. Unfortunately, we as small business owners have a hard time giving things away. So I would say, you know, you really need to ask yourself, if you're looking to hire someone for social media, It needs to be somebody that you haven't just met off the street. You know, you need to trust them. You need to know who they are. You need to research them. You need to kind of see who they are and what they're about. And you need to ask yourself if you're actually willing to trust that person. Because if you don't, then kind of giving away or like having somebody work on your socials is a lot harder remotely, especially. And if it's in person or locally, it's a lot easier to kind of have like those one-on-one meetings and have that time and intention. But so really, I mean, it depends on you as a person and what you're willing and how far you're willing to go. You know, are Zoom meetings going to be enough for you, or do you need to meet in person? It's that type of a thing.
I have a similar response, but more of a local slant for this reason. My business, we manage a number of pages. And before Kayla went out on her own, she would manage a lot of the pages. But where the local tends to be advantageous is small business owners are just busy running their business most of the time. Now, right now, they may have a little more time on their hands. But what you need for a good functioning social media program is you need the content, you need photos or video to go with it, you need the ideas, you need a plan, you need those type of things. So if you have someone local, I find that when we rely on the client to get us the photos, to get us the video we need to go with it, it doesn't happen as often as we'd like. So when I have one of my team members near the organization or the business or the restaurant or something like that, and they're out and about and they can pop in and get photos or get video or see what's going on or make contact with the person, I just find that the programs go a lot smoother, because when we're relying on that business owner to send us the stuff, it gets pushed by the wayside a lot of times. And so I tend to like having the local contact relationship a little bit more, because then you're not starving for that kind of updated pictures or updated video or those type of things. So it's not necessary, it's beneficial.
We have a business owner in upstate New York. They say they sell medical and nursing uniforms, medical instruments, supplies, accessories, and nursing shoes from well-known manufacturers. They're wondering if they should be creating Google ads.
Google Ads is a great place to start. I mean, it is a lot more technical, I will tell you. Google Ads are beasts to kind of get started, especially if you've never done them before. But if you have a lot of traffic coming through your Google page, for example, I just worked with a local chiropractor out here, and their Google had like a 400% increase in views in the last month. If you have an increase in views on your Google and you have a lot of activity on Google, it could be a great place for you to advertise. So you really have to ask yourself and kind of see like what your competition is like in your local area too, because they struggle, because there are, in Colorado Springs, I think it's over 100 chiropractors locally in town. So the competition is very stiff as far as Google Ads go. So that means that your dollar spend is going to be very high, and you're going to struggle to be on the front page. So then would it even be worth it for you to do? So those are kind of the questions you have to ask yourself. And some of those things you can see by looking at the insights on your Google business page on the back end. And it'll show you how people are finding you, if it's a mobile device, if it's direct search, or if it's a search where they found you off of discovery, things like that. And it'll show you some of those things. And then on the back end of the Google Ads is where you can actually see how high that competition would be for you specifically if you're looking to market your business that way. But there are other ways. If you don't want to do the text ads, there's always YouTube, which tends to do a little bit better in my opinion. but that requires you to then have a video that you produce and things of that nature. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. So,
Renee, can
Yes.
you ask the person if they're having that type of equipment and product now, aren't they being bombarded with inquiries and search type of situations?
That may have to
Or
be.
is this just a long-term generic question?
I'm not sure, and unfortunately, I'm going to tell this person I X'd out of the question, so I can't reply to them. I apologize.
Okay.
But if
Yeah,
I
well,
can
I mean,
give you
Kayla's,
your Chris,
I would think anybody in that field right now wouldn't need to do much of anything.
absolutely. I hope that they're able to follow up. I apologize on that one. This person is wondering if the following statement is correct. Cross-platform brand voice consistency is important, but especially for Google My Business, because your contact info also needs to be platform consistent because Google indexes and uses this to validate your reputation.
yes, that statement is absolutely accurate. In fact, a lot of times you'll see on a Google My Business page that there'll be like a little section for Facebook, and then some businesses don't have that. And the reason for that is that their information on Facebook doesn't match their information on Google. Likewise, when I do audits for folks, so I do like an entire online presence audit where I look at everything where they can find them online. If I see hours, oftentimes you'll see hours don't match on Google versus Facebook. That says a lot about your brand. You know, just having like mismatched services and information and hours and things, it just doesn't. Google looks at all of that stuff just like Facebook looks at all of that stuff. So if you think, and honestly, Google is #1 in the world for search engines right now. So a lot of people think, oh, it's more important to be on Facebook than it is on Google. I mean, you would be shocked by the amount of business owners that I know personally right now to this day in 2020 that don't even have a Google business account because they think it's more important to be on social media. And I would argue the exact opposite. So social media is great. It's a tool, but your #1 search engine in the entire world is on Google. So if you're not there, you're missing a huge piece of the pie. And then compound that with the fact that you have inaccurate or missing information that doesn't match your brand on your other channels. That's huge.
I live by the thing that Google, forgive the insincerity of this, Google is God. So you treat Google as #1 on everything you do.
This question is coming from a home inspection business. They're looking for inspiration to post on Facebook and Instagram.
Do they work with any local realtors? I worked with realtors before in the past. I used to work for a real estate team in Tennessee. And the home inspectors, honestly, they don't do enough educating about what they do and why they're different from other home inspectors. So a lot of times you get just kind of, you can't even find anything about the home inspector and what they do, or like what kind of report they give you, or if they have insurance that comes with their with their report. So like my home inspector, I researched myself and went with them myself because they had an online presence and because they said, hey, if we're wrong and something happens within the first 30 days that you're in the home, then we will pay for it. And that actually ended up coming true because my dishwasher broke the first week that I was there and they didn't find an important leak. And because they had educated me on something they provided and they stood behind it, I have now recommended them to like 25 other people because of that. And there was no hassle, so I mean, those are the types of things I think a lot of like the people who say, oh, well, I have a boring business and I don't, that's not the case. You just have to be more creative in how you approach it and handle what you're telling people about your business. And maybe it's that you're sharing photos of the home that you're in, or an issue that you found while you were inspecting that you've never seen before. Things like that. That's really fascinating to folks. For example, when my sister had her home inspected, her home inspector could have had a heyday because she had toothpaste caps jammed down every sink in her home. She had 12 toothpaste caps in her bathroom. that the inspector could have taken pictures of and shared on social by just getting, approval from the owner of the home in order to share that. It's not like you're sharing the address, but you're sharing, hey, this is what I found while I was inspecting a home today. Can you believe this? Talk about entertaining and attracting folks to your post. That's a pretty huge thing. So, or like the amount of bacon grease that would have to be pulled out of her garbage disposal, which ended up being something like 1.5 pounds of solid bacon fat. So, I mean, there's stuff like that that you just can't make up, that only home inspectors see, that they never share with folks. So that would be my little inspirational moment.
No, totally agree with that. Totally agree with the idea that you would share examples, but it's with a home inspection thing. I mean, they can actually market to both sides of the street. Okay, they can market with the realtors, right?
Yep.
They can also market to the general public as a prospective buyer, because the prospective buyer can hire the home inspector, right? Because some people don't use realtors type deal. And so it's all about prevention, and not getting caught and getting these things done ahead of time. Now, as a seller, I sold my house on my own, and we agreed to split the cost of a home inspection with the buyer, so that, it was like, hey, there's no surprises here. I'll split it with you type deal, because we wanted everybody to be happy type of a situation. And so, but I agree with showing like we're working with a gutter company right now, and you want to show what happens if you don't have gutters. So Kayla is right on with that. Banks would be a good target too, because they hire appraisers, home inspections, those kind of a thing. So, but I think marketing to the general public on Facebook or some social media platform would I think they pick up some at-large customers on their own.
Great, thank you. And they did mention while you were answering that they do not work with any realtors right now.
So
Really?
yes, great market
Wow.
for them.
That's their bread and butter.
And thank you so much. The medical supply company wrote back in. Their searches have gone up this past month, but their sales online have not increased. And most of our in-store foot traffic has gone down due to the stay-at-home warning. We're looking to boost our sales online, and our main competition is other online uniform stores. So they didn't know if Google ads would be helpful. They have been boosting on Facebook though.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if they have a social media presence, maybe they just need to change how they're doing it, if they're looking to just make a sale, or if they're looking to really like approach from the angle of supporting the hospitals, or really plugging away on those like National Doctors Day, or kind of getting their foot in the door. I don't know if they have their foot in the door with any hospitals locally, or nonprofits that are raising the PPE for people right now. I mean, maybe there's some way that they can have kind of like a community engagement where they donate a certain amount of things to a local hospital to kind of gain that awareness. I mean, there's just so many.
Well, they might want to also think about a more direct marketing approach, and literally, come up with a list of hospitals, throughout the state. They said they were in upstate New York, which could be anywhere, could be Albany, could be up here, could be anywhere. And actually put together an email campaign of their own, and market directly to trying to reach out to those people directly, letting them know they exist and they have in-stock items, and what those in-stock items are, because it's my understanding that, especially downstate, that these people are clamoring, or even out of state, but I would start in state, that they're clamoring for, X, Y, and Z. And, I don't know what their inventory is and what they have, but I'm thinking in this particular case, they might want to try more of a direct marketing approach with either email or some kind of direct contact, and they can build their own database very easily.
Yeah,
Even at the state level,
mhm.
because all you hear on every day is they can't get any supplies of any nature. So they must have something.
Right, and a lot of those hospitals have like a contact page where you can
Yeah,
actually.
that's what I mean. They could build their online database just by going, Googling the Hospital Association of New York State and building a simple database in a matter of an hour or two.
Right.
I think I'd try that, given the crisis we're under, as opposed to the kind of methods we're talking about.
They stress how effective Facebook and Instagram hashtagging is, but is it really? Are there any recent stats? The popular tags get you lost in the abyss, and it doesn't seem realistic to think many people search for posts they're interested in by hashtagging. Your thoughts?
I love it. So hashtags, yes, are very important. Not so much on Facebook. Hashtags are very important on Instagram. So on Instagram, a lot of folks try and use like the really big hashtags. And I would caution you against that actually. So there is, and actually the other seminar we were going to do, I had a whole breakdown of hashtags, but basically you want to look for what I call long tail hashtags. So instead of saying, let's see. So instead of saying positivity, hashtag positivity, that probably has like 8.9 million posts under it, okay? A long tail hashtag means that you say positivity matters always, and it's a longer hashtag, and that hashtag is to a niche group that's maybe like 40,000 people who follow that hashtag. The types of hashtags you really want to follow are under 100,000, and you really want to limit the amount that you have over 500,000 and over 1 million, because that's where you get lost, okay? So I highly encourage you, if you don't research your hashtags, to do that, and that's simply by typing in the search bar a hashtag that is related to something in your post. So say I just had one out that I put out today. I want to market it to creative entrepreneurs. When I go to creative entrepreneurs, right underneath that, there's a section there that has related, and there are related hashtags to that creative entrepreneurs hashtag that I can then scroll through and tap on to see how many posts are in that hashtag, and if the hashtag looks like something that I would even want my post to be under, because some of those hashtags are really, like the posts that are under there are like really spammy, and they're not the kind of people that you want to market to anyways. So a lot of folks, they don't research their hashtags at all, and they just kind of throw hashtags out there on their posts hoping that something sticks. When in reality, they need to have kind of like an approach to hashtags, at least 3 to 5 per post. I use upwards of 20 to 25 on my posts, and I research every single one of them to make sure that it's going to the people that I actually want it to go to. And again, looking for those long tail hashtags that are under 500,000 and even under 100,000, and keeping the majority of my hashtags in those smaller targeted niche groups, because it's just like targeting someone on Facebook. A hashtag really targets that niche community and allows you to appear there. And if you're trying to be in this massive community that's just positivity, no one's ever going to see your post, and your post isn't going to matter longer than 0.2 seconds, because you'll get covered over by the next 10 posts quickly thereafter. So again, that's my big, but yes, hashtags definitely matter and they definitely help you, but you have to do them and research them and use smaller ones that are going to have more of an impact for you.
Is there a way to transfer reviews from Facebook, Thumbtack, Yelp, etc. to your Google page?
Nope. So as far as transferring them, no. So we did talk about if over a period of time, if Google sees that your accounts match, like all your information matches on Facebook versus Google, Google will then actually pull your Facebook reviews at the bottom. You'll see that on a lot of folks. It'll be like 4.5 out of 5, and they'll say Facebook right next to it. That's not anything that you can affect, other than making sure that your information matches, because Google's the one who verifies that and puts that information out there for you. It's not something where you can be like, I want my Facebook reviews to then pull to my Google account, please and thank you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Any suggestions on small businesses selling service business to business? And this is a background screening industry company selling services to HR departments and other businesses. They're wondering if you have any suggestions on selling services business to business.
LinkedIn would be a really great place to start. You could do sponsored in-mail where you drop directly into their inbox. Kind of makes like a nice little letter. And you can say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we're offering right now. This is how we can help your business. And just like Facebook, you have targeting options. They're a lot more limited on LinkedIn. But that might be something that they would want to try, or participating in the forums in LinkedIn or writing articles on LinkedIn and just being more of a presence there, just because that is the business-to-business platform. Chris, any thoughts?
I think it's more of a direct marketing approach. That may be less online and more traditional methods. Once again, email based. Some of the old school methods where you're calling and beating the bushes a little bit, an email approach. Some of this stuff online, just I agree with the LinkedIn. I don't have a problem with that, but some of this stuff, whether it's business to business and direct, the problem with that is getting those people to pay attention to it online and it not looking spammy, something like that. So sometimes you can't get away with old school.
Is there a way to convert an existing Facebook page to a business page? How do you tell if you have an Instagram that is a business Instagram? Unfortunately, theirs was created by the owner and they're not sure.
Okay, so on Facebook, I would honestly have to see what they're working with. So if they want to get in touch with me after, I'd be happy to help them. But on Facebook, you should have like a little drop down on the far right side. There's like a little drop down arrow right next to your profile. And then you would go to your pages. If it's not listed as a page there, I would question what it is created as, which can get really sticky really quickly. Because if it was created as a personal page that's then being used as a business page, Facebook does not like that. And that would be something that you would need to, unfortunately, there's no way to transfer it to a business page. You would just have to create a page and kind of start over if that's the case. But again, I can't tell that without seeing it. On Instagram, you go into your settings. And in your settings, again, I can show them how to do it. It's really easy. But that's an easy fix if you want to just switch it to a business account on there so that you can start collecting your insights on your posts and things like that of your stories and things of that nature. So if they want to get in contact with me after, if they want to send you their contact information, I can call them and help them out with that.
This is another one that's similar, but with the Google business. They have a Google business listing that is owned by the prior owner. How should we proceed? We no longer have communications with them.
Your specialty.
So that actually, don't lose hope. It's not as complicated as Facebook. There is a number you can call for Google, and you can actually try to claim the listing online first. Again, that's a more technical aspect that you probably will need help with. So if you want to get in touch with me as well, there's a number you can call with Google. If after 7 days the business owner does not say, no, this is mine, it then kind of gets released back and then anyone can claim it. So after 7 business days, which it may take longer now, right now because of COVID, Google's saying everything might take a little bit longer right now. So, but after 7 business days, after you've tried to claim it, if the business owner doesn't take any action on it at all, because they get sent an email with like confirm or deny, and even still, if they do try to confirm or deny, you can still talk to Google and say, hey, look, they're not in charge of this business anymore. And again, it just takes a little bit of haggling with the whole Google business people. But I have been successfully able, we actually had a restaurant that had a former like Grubhub or like delivery service that hijacked their Google business account, which was just awful. And I actually was able to get it back for the business, and successfully have kept that business from reclaiming it that way, because that's what they did. They went in on the back end and tried to claim access to it. And then the owner never said anything. And then 7 days later, they called Google Business and said, hey, we want this account. And Google was like, okay, you can verify it. And they somehow verified it and got access to the listing. So there are ways to get those listings back from Google.
Which leads to tip of the day. Countless times we have run into the situation where the previous owners or someone in the business has set up their Facebook page, their Google page, something, and the person that did that is no longer there. And Kayla has become quite an expert at trying to solve the magic riddle of getting it back. You have to, as a small business owner, please go in and make sure you have your username and password for all of these things, Google, Facebook, Instagram, and that you, it doesn't matter if other people are on there, that's fine, but that you are, like on Facebook and Instagram, an admin. So that when that employee who has been great to you and set up your Facebook account leaves, you still have access to it. Or when that employee leaves, you can't get your Google page or whatever. It's your business. And that same thing goes with if you're working with someone like me or
Yeah.
Kayla, okay, an outside entity. It's okay if we're admins to it, but you have to be an admin and you have to have copies of all that stuff. I can't tell you how many people they ask us to work with and they don't have control of their own domain names. They don't have their hosting. They don't have any of that stuff. And it's not right. It's your stuff. It's okay if we set it up. It's okay if you hire us or other people or your family does that. But you need to be in control of that or at least have copies of those records. Tip of the day, of the year, of your lifetime.
Thank you so much, Chris. I've definitely heard some horror stories about domain names that are not.
I've got one right now. It was set up by a radio station who, you know, they sell radio stations, their revenues decline. So they set up digital presences. They'll set up websites and stuff. So the guy's like, oh, that sounds great. The radio station owns the domain. The radio station owns the website. He doesn't.
Yeah, it's sticky. It's a big red flag if you work with someone in an agency or a consulting firm who doesn't give you access to things that you actually own.
How do I send promotions to a targeted group? For example, I want to promote discounts to first responders.
So if they're on Facebook, that's pretty easy. You target to the interest group. There's, the targeting options. You can target nurses, doctors, and within that, you can target people who actually have that as their occupation on Facebook. And Facebook's probably the best place for that because they have the highest amount of targeting options of anything, anywhere, even over Google Ads, believe it or not. So just with the interest in demographics, you can get so much more specific on there. So that would be a really great place. You can also just ask people to share it for you first. Chris and I always like to tell people, do your post and let it marinate for a few days before you boost it. Because a post that does well for a couple days before the boost goes out, so will actually perform way better than a post that doesn't actually have any engagement on it yet at all. So just let it sit there for a couple days and see what it does, see what kind of shares and what kind of activity you can get on it naturally first, before you boost it with those interests and behaviors and demographics on there.
So you talked about video. Is it better to go live or just post short videos?
I don't like going live personally. I do it when I run challenges. I know people who get on live every single day. It's just impractical for me with the amount of stuff I have going on to sit there and do a live. That's why I like doing stories. They're short snippets. They're more laid back. They're friendlier. They're more conversational, which is my whole brand. But I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to do and what kind of business that you have. Like, what's your business model? What are you trying to sell? Because I know a lot of people who go live, like again, for the fitness workouts, or they're walking through their shop and they're showing people things. I would literally just be a talking head for 30 minutes. And so I don't want to do that every day on my channel, but going live is a great place to pick up more of an audience if you're sharing value, number one. And so that would be my question is like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do shorter ones? Or do you want to go on and talk for a while? Because those lives, I mean, they're not really effective for you unless people are actually tuning in. So
I'm totally into 30-second to 1-minute videos that you film and then you can post or you can boost or you can schedule a post and that they're part of a thing. And then people can watch when they want to watch, because if they're not there live, then it doesn't do the job. So I'm totally on the left side of the fence for video posts.
Chris, I'm going to challenge your thinking on this one. For retailers that are doing like store tours or items like that, could live be a good option for that?
Yeah, but it is, but you've got to let people know you're going to be live for them to see you. And I don't think that many people are on at the time you're doing it. So I would still do the tours and I would still do the explanations. See, when I'm talking about that, I'm picturing, okay, I've got the electronics store, right? And I've got I have the this is the new Sonos home surround system, right? Because we're all stuck in our houses, right? And you can hook it up to your 55-inch TV, and he's describing it, and he cranks up the sound, and then he walks over and look at this HD TV, and we got this whole package on sale for $1,000, right? And he's pumping it up and stuff like that. Now, I get the live part, but I'm never on when they're doing that, right? So I'm not watching it live and stuff. But if he put that on as a post, more importantly, a post, and then he boosted that out there later on, because I was Googling sometime that day about, geez, this is a good time for me maybe to upgrade my stereo system, because I'm stuck in this house, and it won't be the last time I'll be stuck in this house, because something else will come along next year or when the winter comes back. I'm more apt to watch it as opposed to live.
Well, and I will say too, don't forget with your live, you can upload, you can actually choose to have it recorded and then post to your page after. It just has a different feel, because a lot of times you're like looking for the questions and there's like a big pause. So again, it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be interactive and teach people like how to cook something, or how to draw something, or doing something that's interactive, lives are a great place to do that. If you're just trying to push information out, they can get a little awkward. So you really have to ask yourself, like, what are you trying to do with the live versus like the other types of video that you could utilize.
Plus, I take the little video posts, and anybody can do it. Bring it into your photo or your video editor, which is on any laptop, and just trim it up real quick and get rid of the boo-boos that I made. you know? I mean, anybody, if I can do it, anybody can do it, you know, where you can trim it down a little bit or anything else. And then for some of our clients, we add graphics to it and stuff real quick too. You know, it only takes a few minutes, put the phone number at the end, stuff like that. But you can, you know, if I really messed up in the middle, I can get rid of that scene too. With all the laptops have free, you know, video editing software with them.
For the medical supplies, their company can obtain the PPE supplies, and they've created an ad on Facebook and is also reaching out to hospitals. It's tricky though, as supplies are changing daily.
Yeah, but I still think the direct approach is they make contact with all these places, and they get the contact, and then the whoever the procurement officer, the purchase agent is at those places, just contacts them on a daily basis through email saying, what do you have? You know, I don't think the social media end of it or the other type of things will be the most effective tool for them. Could
Yeah, I
be
mean,
wrong.
they might even want to go into like their local precinct, like you're talking first responders or the fire department or the EMTs or the ambulance. You go outside of the hospitals. If you're not getting a response from the hospital, there's plenty of other first responders who need PPE, who can't get it right now because it's all going to,
Right.
you know, going to the
Right.
hospital.
Or if she wants to use social media, or she or he wants to use social media, she could literally put actually it would be very flexible. It'd almost be like the restaurant idea with the daily special. She could put a post up every morning and say, in stock today, 1,000 face masks, 2,700 this, 2,700 that. And if she does that a few times, it'll be shared. Just say, hey, share this with anybody you think might need it. Boy, that'll spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
I don't
And
think she'd have to do any boosts.
to help her share it organically first.
Yeah, I don't think she'd have to do any paid advertising at all. If she puts that on her page and says, this is what I have today, please share, have them contact me or call or instant message me, you know, PM me directly. And then she just sells what she sells on it. And she does that as she gets the inventory. I don't think she'd have to do any, if she wants to try it that way, I bet you the shares would be out of this world. I mean, think about it. You can't find this stuff.
No.
Absolutely.
I mean, I looked on eBay because they're saying now they may require the general public or advise the general public to wear masks outside to stop the spread. They're thinking about it.
And too, I mean, if she's on social, don't forget too, you don't have to market locally. You can do pockets of, you know, if you want to market to a city like Nashville or Seattle or
Yep.
Denver, where you know there's those pockets of breakouts, market
And
to those cities too.
the point being, on eBay, there was not a USA seller on the eBay sites. They were all out of California with Chinese sales.
Chris and Kayla, thank you so much. Did you want to add anything before we head out?
Just thank you guys for having us, and appreciate it. And don't be shy. If you need something, just let me know. If it's something small, or even big, the more small business owners I can help right now, the better, because you know, this is the backbone of the American economy. You guys, you are the backbone of the American economy, and I got in this because I love you guys and what you do bring to the table. So any way I can help you, here for you.
Ditto.
Great.
And I'm right here in the Utica area and Carthage and Watertown. And I want to thank the SBDC and the New Hartford Chamber and the Women's Business Center for helping us organize that. We wish all of you the best, and I really believe that your small business size can actually work to your advantage to a certain degree.
Well, great. We've got lots of thank yous coming in, so I will end on that note. I appreciate it. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.